There we go. Let me hop over here real quick. Hello, everyone. Gotta hook up my earphones. Heavy problem solving. Yeah, we're kind of in that spot on ours. I think I have an idea. I think we're just gonna start throwing some, caution to the wind, adding some stuff, and then fix it later. I think that's gonna be the main MO of this one. I know it's going in the portfolio and it should probably be more planned out, but we're gonna just wing it, Get this all hooked up. So many wires and cables. Now I come down here. And you can tell I'm old because I have to check which ear these go into. I should learn by now that the little, the part that like sticks out a little bit goes in the front, the front part of your ear. So that should tell me right away. But I always look because there's the little R and the L. Helps me learn my directions, like the old hand trick where you're like, oh, that one's left. I see. Because it makes an L with your hand. And it is funny doing that type of stuff because now, we're teaching the little ones about that type of thing. And they think that we've solved all of the issues of the world by teaching them those things. Oh, man. Can't knock the sniffles. The whole family's sniffling. It is what it is. But yeah, we're doing good. We're hanging in there. As far as the where do I want my phone? I'll put my phone up here. As far as the orc painting is concerned, doing okay. I still feel okay about the composition, which is good. So normally what happens when you work on a painting, and the longer you work and as a painter and all this other stuff, and illustrator and all that, you come to realize that there's a natural phenomenon with working with art to where you get bored of looking at the thing that you're doing. Because there's that time from the initial excitement of it and then pushing it to final. There's a whole gap right there that you will be bored out of your mind, and you'll start second guessing every decision you made. Like, is this composition even good? Is this piece working? Is it, the only real time that you have the true like wherewithal to know if the idea is good is the very beginning. The very, very beginning. Because you're still excited about it. You're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if? And then you use that as your, that's your MO. That's your gasoline, your fuel to get to the end of it. Whenever you're in the middle of a painting, it's maybe the worst time to talk about the intention of a painting. Hello! Creersis? Creersis. I hope I said that correctly. Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, like, whenever you first start the painting, whenever you first start the piece, that's whenever you can push forward and really know if you have a good idea or not. As you're working on it is a terrible time to think about things like, is this any good? Will this turn out okay? Is this worth, will this be ready? Like, you can't be in that mode and also be working at the same time. You just have to sort of shut the brain off. That's why I really do like listening to music or like a podcast. Really, if you get into the rendering phase, which we're going to get pretty deep into that today, I think. That's the time to like listen to an audiobook or a podcast or something similar. Hopefully if you have like me on in the background or whatever, just anything to where your brain can process the other information instead of the information that you're outputting. So you have input coming in while you provide the output, and your brain will like calm itself down a little bit. At least it does for me. I know that's how it works for me. So we have, by the way, which is funny, you know, we were talking about Greg Manchess yesterday. Let me move my mic real quick. There we go. So we were talking about Greg Manchess yesterday, and remember how we had this piece, and I was like, I love how this piece looks. This is funny because it's like the storm, and it reminds me of Dorothy and Toto. This is literally made, I found the full picture. This is made for a Wizard of Oz illustrated book. So that's literally what it is. So once again, Greg Manchess shows he's a genius by, you know, he tells the exact story he needs to subconsciously. Like nothing on here said Wizard of Oz. It just made me think of Wizard of Oz. And like, yeah, he's a genius. But another thing he's a genius for, and what I'm actually probably going to outright steal, is this. These lighter greens with kind of the more olive, mustard, yellow, you know, olive green, deeper, earthy tone stuff. I think that's the direction we're going to head with our orc. And I might actually do a lot of the background in this style. I super love this style. I think it'll be fun to do. I can get away with being a little more loose. We will hop into Rebel probably for this one, you know. That will be, yeah, and like the little broken edges and stuff, like I dig it. So I think that's kind of what we're gonna do. We're gonna embrace that side of this. And it's funny because, you know, we have these other, like the Diego Lorenz piece, Andrew Marr. So we have these other magic artists. And then we still have the actual ref for Grom right here. But I'm actually less worried about this today. Whenever I woke up, I was like, yeah, it's cool that it's Grom, but it doesn't need to be. This can be generic orc, and that's fine. Like the piece doesn't live or die on the fact that this is Grom Hellscream, I think. I think it's more of the composition, the power pose, and then we can really kind of suss it up. Really give it some stank with this right here. You know, I think it'll be good. The soggy middle, yeah, man. That's the thing. It's just the grind of it. You know what I mean? Just that grind. So I think what I am going to do first, before we start playing and having a lot of fun with the painterly Rebel stuff, importing this, getting it going, I need to clean up some of the features of the orc here, just so I can know what I'm painting. Does that make sense? Like, hopefully that makes sense. So I need to clean up some of these features and actually like define what we're looking at. So I think that's what we're going to be doing here. And I really do like this gradient map. I think this is the one we're going to use. We're going to export this with the gradient map on it, so we can actually use this as a underpainting. You know what I mean? Like we can color pick, we can do all that, and really kind of dig in and start making some cool looking stuff. And not really worrying too much about really distinct color. We'll just add that later if we need it. But yeah, we're the first little bit to kind of warm up, maybe this first hour or so, we're just going to clean this up. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. And see, I am excited though, because like if I turn off, so this is with the line art on, but if I turn the line art off, it's already, the shapes are already working well, even in the face. Like I can tell where the two main teeth are, I can tell where the nose protrudes out, some of the shadow. So I think we're actually on the right track here. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it helps having the extra detail and stuff in the sketch, but I'm excited because it's not necessary anymore. And I think this is really going to work. Like, seeing it like this actually looks pretty cool already. So that's exciting. It means we are on the right track and we can keep pushing forward. So at those, so what I'm going to do, I am going to, let's get rid of the large comp. Or I guess we don't need to get rid of it. It's not doing anything. So let me just, do a new, go here, get rid of the gradient map. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. Where is, oh, there it is. I was like, where's my Photoshop wet brush? It's down here. Here we go. Let's go ahead and define what we're looking at. I do apologize about the sniffles. Those are just, it's part of it, you know. So this is going to be going above any sort of line art or anything. So keep part of that disgruntled look there. Clean this up. Get rid of some of these little scraggly lines here. No, that's true. Like, it's exactly what we're doing right now. I like to keep the line layer on for a little bit, but at a certain point, yeah, you can just kind of get rid of it. And you just kind of trust the marks that you already made and use those as kind of a guide. But then, yeah, just go over top of it. Absolutely. That, and then like where will be follow that side of the face. Big thick eyebrows, because we can get away with it, you know what I mean? Is really, it's just kind of getting rid of these guiding lines that I had for the Loomis method head that I made. Rid of those so we can kind of see this a little more clearly. There we go. Yeah, we're just kind of using the wet, round brush. This, and tools we can use. This one, the hard round, to sort of start coming in and sketching a little bit. That's and you'll notice that I'm not looking at reference right now. It's nice whenever you're first blocking in to use, you know, quite a bit of reference just to make sure the stuff's sort of in the right spot. But otherwise, I think it's a good idea to just kind of build intuition. Like, you know what it's supposed to be. So now if you kind of work without a net, you just go, you just start sketching or start painting over or whatever. You know what it's supposed to be. So then you start just trusting your judgment, you know? And it's going to build your confidence of working from imagination. Even though really we didn't work from imagination for a lot of this, right? We did the pose a little bit, then we looked at a ton of reference to get the features down. But now it's like, okay, we got the hard part sort of out of the way. Now we just kind of refine and define kind of what we're looking at here. Yes, that's a great exercise if you do the transition with paint strokes. I recommend, that's why I genuinely recommend, if you're at the store, next time you're at the store, go ahead and get one of those, like, it doesn't have to be the expensive ones or anything. In fact, it's better if it's not the expensive ones. Get a little tiny acrylic paint set. It can be even the ones in the like Crayola aisle for the kids and stuff like that. Go ahead and get you one of those. And the best exercise you can do is using real cheap material like that. You know, I would say don't even spend $10 on this stuff. Just try to stay within the $5 budget range. Like, get the cheapest you can find. And what you can do is make a little piece, whether it's a circle, whether it's a square, or whatever, just, you know, jot it out, get it on there. And using the cheaper materials, the acrylics, go ahead and do transitions. So you could even just buy black and white paint. Doesn't matter. What's up, Mert? Good to see you, brother. You can get just the black and white paint. You don't even need a color if you don't want to. And you can just work on gradients. You can work on that type of dexterity of the material. Because whenever you realize that you kind of have total control over the intensity of your transitions and all that stuff, because you're not worried about smudge tools or like mixer brushes or any of these like fancy whatever, you can do it traditionally. You're going to build up your confidence. And you're going to be able to just put stuff on a canvas and feel like, oh, okay, if this doesn't work, we'll just fix it later. Like, you'll build up that sort of wherewithal, you know. I did, dude. It's looking good, man. I'm really liking all the Orctober stuff I'm seeing because you guys are pushing yourself. And that's the whole idea of this. Is like, we're going to push ourselves above and beyond those levels, you know, where we thought we were. This is actually supposed to be an animal skull right here. I'm gonna embrace that a little bit. But yeah, you guys are pushing yourselves and it's turning out awesome. This is supposed to be up top here with some shapes, but and here's kind of the bottom part of the maybe let's move this eye. here. Here. It's funny, some designs of Grom have this as a chain, others have it as leather. I'll just use it as leather. It's easier for me to deal with, especially if we're going to come in and do oil painting type stuff on top of it. Having just one piece is way better. You can get a lot more done that way. Monitor for my drawing tablet. Ooh, heck yeah, man. Oh, what's funny is I got an email from Huion. They are taking pre-orders on the version 3, the Generation 3 canvas, because I have the Generation 1 canvas. They are taking pre-orders on the Gen 3. That bad boy is $1,400. Oof. It looks incredible. And it comes with like a colorimeter, one of the things you put on your monitor. Also comes with the the dial thing, the little shortcut key thing that you can like put up on the top of your monitor. That way you can use shortcuts. I can't remember what that's called, but clean that up. These. Clean these. This will also allow us to kind of see these shapes a little better. So, oddly enough, this is the Warcraft 3 soundtrack. Whenever I first started having it on in the background, I literally thought it was also the Metal Gear Solid soundtrack, but no. This is Warcraft 3. Which is crazy. This is why I love working in grayscale. I can just color pick, hard round brush, and get rid of stuff I don't need. Very nice. Very handy. Photoshop wet. I'm actually gonna blend this a little more. I think it's catching light here. There. Softer. Take care of that here. Looks like he has a band around that arm, but he actually doesn't. So I need to kind of fix the bicep. I mean, we're just sort of cleaning these edges. That way, whenever we start doing the oil painting side of things, it'll be way easier to kind of keep our very simple shapes. You know? Penitent, what's up? Can I ask where the Greg Grukowski free brush pack, and I didn't see it in there. So yes, this is actually from the Ray Friendon brush pack. The Ray Friendon one, I think it's like $15, but it comes with 900 brushes, and the brushes are in a category. So basically what I did, because I have like, here's all of the Photoshop brushes. There's like a blender brush, less opaque, linear, low flow, all that type of stuff. But I just made duplicates of the standard Photoshop in the Photoshop wet, and actually just copy and pasted them into the Greg Rutkowski brush pack. I think this is, his 2019 pack, which is my favorite one of his. But that way I could have my two quote unquote render brushes, but then if I wanted to introduce some of the painterly stuff, I can just randomly select a Greg Rutkowski brush. It just helps me keep it in one category. You know. But yeah, it's just shorthand for me. Like, kind of that's what I do with a lot of my stuff, is if I like somebody's brush pack, I will integrate it in with other brushes that I use, you know? Like, whenever I make my own brush packs, those are all custom, you know what I mean? Like, I might use a brush tip or something from like a Kyle Webster pack, but it goes through so many iterations and changes and stuff like that, that it is, you know, I feel okay saying, yes, this is essentially my custom take on that brush, because I do a ton of stuff to them. But it's a nice shorthand in other programs to kind of import the brush packs, but then also add the other brushes I normally use, and it makes like this custom best of brush pack that I can use in like Clip Studio or something like that. I need to do that same thing in Krita. Just I need to spend more time in Krita, like playing with the brushes and all that stuff. So yeah, you bet. But yeah, I love that Ray Friendon brush pack. The Photoshops are great, and then he also has these called the Howley brushes. The Howley brushes are incredible. They're inky, but like pastel-y, but it's hard to explain. It's just, they feel so nice whenever you use them. Keep those shapes real simple. That. Edge. Face. We could actually lighten this up a little bit. Get the boom, boom. Way too much of a highlight, but we're gonna blend this out. Here. Bit here, a little bit, catching right there. We're just gonna blend. Stretch it. And we'll darken it back down in a minute, but basically just bringing in some highlights. That way we can see your boy. There we go. That's cool. Right, yeah. Top part's looking better. Rid of some of these. I need to play with that concept pack. I know you recommended it before. I think I have it downloaded. Need to get it installed and looked at. Also, the dry brush pack. Can't remember who made the dry brushes. They are also very good. I think their name starts with a C. Form over here. Really sort of clean up these little edges. See, right now, this is all just kind of mindless. Not even really super worried about the details or the design elements or anything like that. This is more just getting rid of a lot of the lines. Good. Overhang. This Photoshop brush here. This is kind of a, learn this from miniature painting. You can do kind of an edge highlight thing, and it really helps out with form. It's just, excuse me, it's not necessarily a rim light, but it can kind of work in the same way. This is just kind of on the outside edges. That. Bring this stuff in a little bit. glass, but here. That stuff. Yeah, that Memilio set is a blast. It's like a super blast to use. Okay. This is fur on the edge. Or you deal like that. Is that there? This. So, for this up over here and out here. We'll come in and smudge this to kind of get rid of the exact rendered lines. Because having super harsh lines, like very, very opaque and straight and kind of solid lines, doesn't really work super well yet. It will at the very end, whenever we can kind of like smudge them in and things like that, and then do one or two like big highlight pieces of fur. But really the thing with fur is it's just noise. You just need some sort of visual. You can see these are just scribbles, you know. But hopefully to your mind, it reads like some sort of trim, some sort of fur trim. I think this right here, this arm and stuff, is going to be a little bit more like impressionistic as far as paint strokes, which is why we're not going to super try to render it, you know? I'm not really too concerned with it. Just adding the brighter fur right here doesn't make a lot of sense, but it does make sense as far as contrast is concerned. I'm not going to keep it that bright. In fact, I'm going to come in and just sort of like temper a little bit, smudge and all that. It's just I need it to stand out a little more against the forearm, because these values were pretty close. But you see what I mean? And now we can kind of blend that in, almost like a lost edge. That looks pretty cool. So it's not quite a tangent, I don't think, because what I can do is I can just grab a dark kind of repeat the same design stuff, like the little swirly and the swoopties, and then sort of blend in like this, even though that doesn't make a lot of sense, like logistically and physically, like the laws of physics, you can see how design-wise it actually kind of works. You see what I mean? Because we're doing the dark on light and the light on dark. And remember, if we checkerboard it, the only goal of any of this is to trick your eye into seeing something not actually there. All of art is a magic trick. That's one of the things you should probably keep in mind all of the time, is the goal of this is for the viewer to believe it for a half second. If they can buy in just for a second, it doesn't matter if it doesn't follow the rules of nature and all this other stuff. Like, you can get away with a whole lot as long as the image reads okay. And yeah, what our job is to nullify any sort of stuff that might confuse the viewer. But this doesn't confuse the viewer. This actually helps the viewer follow that shape all the way around. You know what I mean? Like, that's the main thing. I'm good to hear that, Brent. Like, glad to hear it, because yeah, having the goal, you know, having a destination makes travel much easier. You know what I mean? Just in general. You know, it's way easier to complete a foot race if you know where you're ending up. Like, if you know the directions on how to get there. So having some tangible thing and a deadline. I work really well with deadlines simply because it's got to get done. Like, whatever it is, it has to get done. So even on personal projects, I will put deadlines on myself. And I will think, okay, this needs to be done. This part needs to be done by Friday. I need the colors done by this day, or, you know, whatever. It just helps me regulate, because then I know what I'm working towards. Make these a little more fur-esque, kind of how we've done the fur at the other places around. And you'll notice my fur, I mean, I like the way it looks, but it's not like rendered by any means. You know what I mean? These are literally just scribble lines at the end here, showing your eye where it's supposed to be looking. So that's a little too far for the drop shadow. Because essentially this is just like a piece of leather wrapped around his leg. There we go. So it is going to be raised up a little bit, but not enough to cause a huge drop shadow. Here we go. Since that's fur, we can get away with that. That's good right there. Okay. And this is a chain right here. Chains are a lot of fun, because as long as you remember that H, I call it H and 1. As long as you remember the H and the 1 pattern, you're good. I call it H and 1 Because all links, they have to like link together, right? So you have one and then one goes inside and then one goes inside and one goes inside. So a great way that I've found to work is literally if you do do it right here on a new layer. If you do an H and then a 1 in the middle, an H, 1 in the middle, H, 1 in the middle, that's your chain right there. So all you have to do is kind of round these to connect, round that to connect, round to connect, round. You see what I mean? You just got to simplify it so much that like it's super fast though. Every chain you ever see me make is going to be based on that principle. It's funny, the human arm does that too. The human arm follows the same deal as a chain link, because you have to think, if you have if we're looking at somebody, they're facing directly on us. If you have the shoulder right here, the bicep literally, like the arm is more narrow here, then your forearm actually follows kind of a longer version of the same shape, and then your hand is like that. So literally it is like here's shoulder, then you do an arm right here, like this is the top of the bicep, this is the shoulder. Then whenever you do your forearm, you know, you have your elbow or whatever, that, and then you do the hand, like it's very much that. It's a chain link, you know. So you're essentially doing front, bicep, forearm, hand. You link them together. So I will give a piece of advice about the sensation you guys are feeling right now. So let me mark this. All right. So if you're finding yourself in the type of rut to where you can't finish anything, you're getting into the grind of the piece. So you got excited, you started on a thing, you're excited about it, and then you get kind of what Brent called in the soggy middle, like this middle, and it's just not fun. There's a thing, and this is 1000% true, called the artist curse. And what the artist curse is you will never see your work or hear your work or whatever the way other people see or hear it or read it or whatever. It's actually impossible for the artist to see it objectively. They can't. We cannot. Our job is to make the thing. All you can do is make it. It doesn't matter what the quality is. It doesn't matter what the output is, how many you do. Like, you can control those things, but in a weird way, it doesn't matter, because that part is not up to us. That part is up to the audience. All we do, we are vessels that create. That's it. We just make things. Just make. So instead of being worried about the final outcome, about, oh, this painting, this one song, this one book, this one story, this one poem, this one crochet, this one knitting. That part doesn't matter. Ironically, the act of doing is what matters. That's the thing we're getting better at. I don't necessarily agree or think that, and it sounds weird, but I'm going to say it. I don't think that you get better at painting by making better paintings. I think you get better at painting by painting. I don't care what the outcome is. It's the same thing. If you did the same menial task, which painting kind of is, anything, if you're sharpening knives, if you sharpen a knife for 8 hours a day for 30 years, you're going to get pretty good at the act of sharpening knives. It doesn't necessarily matter what the knife is, how sharp did it get. That's at the end of the day, that's not up to the knife sharpener. Really, they can think of it in relation to their other stuff, sure, but it's up to the output is up to the audience. We shouldn't concern ourselves with if the stuff is any good. The older I get and the more I'm in the business and all this other stuff, if I'm worried if it's good, it's gonna suck. Because then I'm worrying about the wrong thing. I shouldn't care if it's good. It's not up to me. I can, and as a true testament to this, people will always be blown away by the fact of they're gonna work on a painting or on a music or whatever for 100 hours. And then they post it on social media. And it gets like 4 likes. Nobody cares. If you have the worst flu of your life, you're trying to like clear your brain fog, and you do a sketch, and you're like, oh, I need to post something. And you post it, and you're like, sorry guys, this one sucks. That thing's gonna have 14,000 likes. It always happens that way. The thing that you think sucks rocks to everybody else. And the thing that you're the most proud of, that it's your crown jewel, here's my magnum opus. People are going to look at it and be like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's cool. All right. What else are you working on? That's part of the artist's curse. We're so in the weeds of problem solving that we get impressed by the stuff that we know is hard to do. Oh, look at this rendering technique. Look at the way the and with art it's especially weird because you have a lot of people that they value the dexterity of the art more than the message. And as pros we get caught up in it too. It's like, hey, look at how good that technique is, man. They just hit it on another level. But I think what really impresses me about somebody like a Greg Manchess, let me bring this stuff up. I could talk about brushwork, I could talk about this stuff all day, but what actually impresses me at the end of the day is that he does the technical marveling, and he made a very good painting of a girl holding a dog. The outcome is what is the real impressive part. We get so caught up, and I'm going to get so caught up in like, oh, look at this, and well, the way he transitioned from this into this. That's the semantics that we see. It doesn't make a good painting. What makes a good painting is the storytelling. It is the, oh, hey, I made the wild guess and I said this reminded me of the Wizard of Oz without even knowing this is from a Wizard of Oz book. Like, it resonated. That's the impressive part. It's like, all this other stuff is BS. Like, Greg's a genius. But the reason why he's a genius is he can do the most precise artistic BS that we get so problem-solvy about. The edge control and the color temperatures and the blur and the blur and the blur. But at the end of the day, this is just a rad image. That's the cool part. But like, That's what this is. So the artist curse, I guarantee you, if you ask Greg if he has any good paintings, he'll say, maybe a few, but you just can never see your work the way other people see it. Because we can zoom in and notice and stuff. But really, it's... the image is the most important thing. And he makes good images. And that's where a lot of the... that's a lot of where the worry needs to come from, not necessarily in the technique to get there. Which it's a hard lesson to learn. It's a tricky lesson to learn, and it takes a while. You know. Because like right now, I'm working on just a few of the details, but overall, I have the image kind of locked down. Like, this is what the image is going to look like at the end of it. We're going to come in and do some nuanced stuff and all that. But really, the image is sort of done. Now I just have to finish it, you know? And I think that's where a lot of people get caught up, is they think that they'll look at something like this and think it's not finished, which is, you know, true to an extent. But I can tell you, there will be no major changes on this piece. We can go in, we can render, we can do cool brushwork, we can do all that. But like, no. You should lock in your image in the first 10% of working. Like, it should read well, it should work, because then it's all just, you put some juice in it. You know what I mean? You just do a little bit of something here, a little bit of something there. And then over the course of, 10 hours, after doing all these little techniques that you learned along the way, now you have something that, somebody might want to buy for a book, or somebody might want to put on a card, or, whatever. I'm going to fix that tangent a little bit. That was coming in here. There we go. What's that? Bring that in. You're also going to notice that I kind of clean up around areas of focus. That way all of the detail, or whatever, the more specific things can actually shine a little bit more, because they're not fighting for your attention. I always think of it like the depth of field in a camera lens. The depth of field in a camera lens allows us to do that. Basically, I'm just forcing the viewer's eye on where it should focus. This down. See, these are like leather pants, but we'll worry about that rendering later. Just this here. Darker, cool. I'm going to clean that up because I know what this needs to be. This needs to come down here. That needs to go across here. these edges a little. We're almost ready to take this into Rebel. Start really experimenting with adding some color and doing some things. Silhouette a little bit more. I am learning the better your silhouette, the better the piece is usually. There is somebody, I think I've shown it before, but especially dealing with orcs and stuff, you want to talk about just incredible amount of clarity as far as like design. There's a Blizzard artist. There's two that come to mind. First one is Bayard Wu, because Bayard's a freaking animal. He's incredible. And then the second is Laurel Austin. She was art director for... She might still be with Blizzard. She was on Hearthstone for a long time, but then she did some like graphic novel type stuff, like the motion graphic stuff. Her work is unbelievable. But if you talk about bring up some here. Austin. It's one of the sickest paintings I've ever seen. So good. And like, it looks very rendered and stuff, but then you come take a look in here and you can see the kind of messy brushwork. Unbelievable, man. And then like, so freaking good. It's rendered without being rendered. I don't know how she does it. Don't understand it. Wish I did. It's so sick. Let's find some other items. Just love her rendering style. Great. And there's another good one. Because at first glance you would think this is very much like a Riot sort of thing, but you can see visible brushstrokes, which is a big no-no when working with Riot. And I enjoy the energy that Laurel has in her work more so than a lot of the stuff for, not knocking any Riot artists, because good lord, and hell, I worked with Riot, so, but, there's just something really, I don't want to use the word compelling because that doesn't mean anything, but, you know, seeing each individual mark, it's that very impasto painter, wet into wet, but using the digital tools. Almost like a Craig Mullins, just without the texture, without the photo bash, without the, you know, overlay mixed with hard light, mixed with, you know, Craig does that stuff a lot, which he's the best in the world at. But this is just straight up hard round brush painting, man. This is just understanding things at a super crazy high level. And then Bayard being an absolute beast. Actually, yeah, here's an orc girl. Incredible work. Move all the Laura Austin stuff that way. Over here we have Bayard. So sick. And the making of, which is so cool now that Pure Ref allows for like animated GIFs. So you can see the whole making of. It's great. Yeah. That adds up. And then where's some other... Oh yeah. So this one is, I think, Bayard's masterpiece. The amount of action happening on this, but with the clarity of the design work here, is absolute, like, this should be in the Louvre kind of stuff. And it's a perfect example, an absolute masterclass in light on dark and dark on light. Because you can see, you know, lighter background, you have the darker deal. But then, let's say you have the darker background, now that character, Orc Girl, is in the light. And then you also have really bright saturation bringing you over to our main hero. But, like, you have the light background with a dark wing, and then the silhouette of the face is light on the dark on the light. Like, it's crazy. Like, this one is absurd. And like, the face here is almost hidden because the values are so close together. But then the more you look at this, the more you see, like, oh my God. And then like the thigh being in light next to the lower pelvic region and abdomen of dark on top of the subtle light of the back. Like, you could look at this for a month and it's funny, I learned this working on Warhammer, but I use it a lot now too. This foreground element is really just used to kind of frame what we have. The same thing as the tree right here, but more so this foreground element. There's a ton of detail here. So there's some leaves, there's some good leaves, there's a few tree branch stuff, there's skulls, bones. But do you see how it's all locked into one value range? It all just blends away. Because if you're focused right here, none of this stuff over here catches your eye, which is smart. It shouldn't, you know? And like the blade, the glisten of the blade on the back of the dark on the light, on the light on the dark, like, it's crazy. But yes, yeah, bring up your point, Mert. Yeah, it's just a silhouette. You have a little bit of darker stuff, a little bit of lines showing you kind of what you're supposed to look at as far as detail. But yeah, that is atmospheric perspective on something that is not a landscape. And a lot of Korean artists do this. They love the sort of atmospheric perspective of that. It's a good look. If you want something to get pushed into the background, make it lighter in value and make it more desaturated. Compress all those values together. You know, that's sort of what we're trying to do here with this background stuff and all this. In fact, we could lighten this arm up and the axe up. That might be something we consider, but we also don't want to make Grom look like he's a giant. Like, he doesn't need to be, 40 feet tall. He's just standard height. But if we start adding atmospheric perspective to different areas, it will make him seem way bigger. Because it's like, if his arm is so far back that it's like getting pushed into the atmosphere, this guy must be huge. We have this. I think we're at the point where we can actually move on over. There we go. We're going to keep that right there. We can move this over to Rebel. I think we're kind of ready to start introducing some color and also introduce some of the wet into wet paint stuff. And I'm going to do a slightly sacrilegious thing in Rebel. I am going to turn the impasto all the way down. Like, I might even shut it off. Because I'm more interested in the brushes blending together than I am in the impasto look. So what we'll do, I will go ahead and I will save this out. Save this as a PNG file. And say yes, that we can merge this, and that's fine. Now I'm going to come back to this window real quick, because I think I had something open in Rebel that I'm working on for a client, so I can't show that yet. We do that. Open. Here we go. Okay. Now we're back. Okay, so now we are here in Rebel. First thing I'm going to do, I am going to change this paper to a canvas paper. Let's do... Not going to use deckled edges. Let's use the William. I think I like the William the best. Looks the most kind of natural. And it kind of matches the canvas that we already have on some of our brush strokes. So yeah, see how it's kind of pulling out more canvas stuff now. Cool. All right. First thing we're going to do, we are going to duplicate this layer. We are going to make pigment mode turned on. We're going to get the navigator up. We are going to get into our bristle brush. Come in here. Don't need the metallics. The impasto depth, we're going to turn down to about a 1. The gloss we're going to turn down. We are going to turn on soft shadows. Yeah, that should be fine. And keep those as kind of default. What we want to do now is come in and start blending in some brushwork. We're gonna choose that, put it right here. Pigments. This, yeah, there we go. Let me keep a dirty brush for right now, because I think, oh, actually, because I'm on pigment, I won't do it. So let me just go to paint and blend. Actually, my favorite method to paint. There we go. That's what I'm wanting. Yeah, buddy. That's funny. I don't think I can turn on dirty brush mode because I think pigment mode is dirty brush mode plus a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, I want to be able to pull and push. There we go. This will allow us to get some real good looking blends and paint strokes and stuff like that. So this is what we're going to do for right now, and then we're going to start introducing some color on top of this. Yo, Sean, how are you, my friend? Welcome, welcome. I'm going to add a little bit right here. Where the fun is, here we go. Yeah. See, there's that little bit of impasto, but not much. What it's going to do is it's going to kind of smooth out what we have right now. Give us a little bit of brush variety. And I will change the brush here momentarily. Just a little harder. Because we'll come in with some different texture stuff and clip a little later or in Photoshop or something. And really make this look craggy and rocky and all that. But right now, we are just adding this type of here. Actually, let me grab the bristle flat 2. Yeah. Gives us a nice little bit of grit. And it's going to be fun just to kind of color pick and start really kind of painting on the inside here. You can always come back in and add those like more Photoshop-esque brushes later. Here. this is going to be a little bit of mountain information. So like, the goal is to make it not necessarily look like snow, but make it look like there is stuff caught in these recesses of the mountain, you know? We don't really have a reference for a mountain yet. I can probably look that up in a little bit. But this will at least get us a little bit of texture for that background. This will be decent. There we go. I want this to be like billowy smoke, right? There we go. And you'll notice some of these swoops that I'm doing, I'm making them like point to Brahm's face. That just helps direct the eye. That's a thing that I notice with people just kind of coming to terms with more traditional mediums and stuff. A nice, very easy hack that you can do. It just makes your life easier. It makes your paintings look better. Or if you're using Rebel, Art Rage, something that has more of the impasto, the Menoleo brushes, the RGBA stuff in Krita, that type of thing. Make your brush stroke the direction of the contour line. You know, so like a contour line just follows the form, right? So like these buckles on this, wrist gauntlet type thing. Whenever you do big swooping brush strokes, follow the contour line. So for the clouds here, I'm just bellowing them out, making them kind of rounded. But I'm doing that in such a way to where I want to focus, almost draw an arrow to the face. So literally the brush strokes also help with the thing. You know what I mean? It seems like a simple thing, and it is a very simple thing. But I notice that it brings a little bit more kind of intent to any piece, because it makes it look like you knew what you were doing from the very beginning. You know, and this is just stuff you can add later. You can do that pass later. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing right here. Here, let's say now we're adding. See, now these brush strokes are going to be this fur, and it really sells it too, because this is kind of a gristly brush. Do that. You know what I mean? Good stuff. It's easy. It's easy. It's little bits here and there. It's nothing. It's not a super hard technique to do, but it does wonders for kind of the depth and the believability of stuff. And you're embracing that kind of natural chaos that this type of brush will give you. But it's also like help selling the material. Like it feels more like fur, you know? It's wispy, it's weird, it's a little wild. And that's just what the brush strokes are doing. And it's nice because I think we've gotten rid of all of the lines, essentially. A lot of those harsher black lines. Grab that little bit of darker right here. Let's add a little bit of structure onto this mountain. Come up here. And this would be the time I should probably go like look at some reference for mountains. And really the nice thing to do is look at reference not of like, oh, I'm gonna go to Pexels and look at a photo of a mountain. You could actually do a Google image search for like oil paintings of mountains and see how people do their techniques and see if you can kind of, you know, see their technique, understand what they're doing, and implement some of that into your own work, because that's the best way to know. It's not necessarily like how well can you look at a photo or even a still life or whatever of a mountain. It's more like how can you interpret a mountain in a painting. Remember, we are painters after all. That's been kind of the MO for everything today. We are image makers. So even if something doesn't look quote unquote exactly like a photo or exactly like a reference, if you're getting the main idea there, then you're doing okay. Like that's the goal, is you're trying to sell the image. The image comes first. Everything else is secondary. So, do we want to start adding color? I think having this type of like cyan and green and stuff would actually look really cool. Because I love this kind of vibe. So what I could do, show you one of my favorite features of Rebel. I don't use it a ton, but I do like I do like having it. Let me save this. So basically I'm going to import a color scheme. And Rebel can do this, but Clip Studio Paint can also do this. It's a very, very cool feature. So if I'm gonna go ahead and save this image out right here. Export, selected image. I'm gonna save this to the desktop. I'm gonna save this as Greg. Export. Okay, so I exported that. Now I can come over here to my color library. And what I can do, color set, create color set from image file. And then I can say, how many colors do I want? I'm going to say 36. And then what happens is it lets you come in and open a picture. I'm going to come to the desktop where I save this at. Save that. And here we are. Now we have 36 randomly selected colors from this painting. Right? It just randomly selected them. You can also, I believe, color set, order by lightness. Boom. There are my values. Now I know what will work well in my highlights. I know what will work well in my midtones, and then what will work well in my shadows. And there it is. I may not use the blues. I might introduce some of them, especially like kind of that darker sort of cyan, this type of color. These neutrals, these nice muddy neutrals, I will introduce here. But that's a great way to have like color stuff solved for you. You know, this is essentially a more advanced version of color picking, because you're just picking 36 colors or however many you choose from a piece, and then that's your palette. You know, instead of color picking the exact, you know, I want this one here and this one here, like having the image open on one window, color picking and coming to the other window and doing this. Now you just have the colors, you have them retained by value. Now you can kind of work that way. Right? So that means we have that. Let's duplicate this layer again and start working in some color. So we do want our kind of nice gray greens. Yeah, see how we're gonna start introducing some of these greens here. See, these are darker, so then if we need it a little bit lighter, up here, do some of that. Be a little bit more of the brown right here. Both light, but really all we're putting in here is mixing colors to make this smoke. Right? All we're worried about. Some nice dirty mixes, nice mud that we have. Just kind of staying back here, staying zoomed out. And maybe like a few just hits of this nice cyan. Sort of like light baby blue color. I'm just going to come in and start blending these in. So I would essentially do this if I was working in oils. You can just grab really any color from your palette, and with a messy, dirty brush that you don't wipe off, you can mix it in with the stuff that's already on the palette. And you get some really cool effects. You know. You can import palettes from photos as well. Can you give a brief explanation? Let me see. I think they changed how to do it. Clip Studio, create palette from image. Oh, actually, I know the. Okay, so I don't think it was Clip. It may either be Krita or Art Rage that does it. But I will show you a very, very, very great workaround. Clip Studio Paint. Well, hell, we have Clip open. Where is? Here's color wheel stuff. There is a way to import. Okay, so let's view. Window. Subtool detail. We need color set. Okay, so I'm gonna move this up. Okay, so color set. This is kind of an empty deal right here. Yes, so what I do, create new set maybe? I need add color sets. There is a way that you can import a specific type of file. And I want to say, let me create a new set. Example. There is a way to import a file. And the file is either a ACO, which stands for Adobe Color. ACO file is using the color sets palette import function. Window color set to open. Click the menu icon and select import color set. Oh, or we can do one even better. Okay. So let me this stuff real quick. Let me do this. Image to let's see, create color palette from image. There's a certain website that I used to go to. Need to find the right one though. ASE. There is a website that I would use all the time. No, Adobe Color does this. There's a bunch of websites. There's one in particular that saves out like an incredible amount. You can have up to like 100 and... Is this website? Let me check my bookmarks real quick. Sorry, it's taking me a minute. Because I literally had it saved. Because you can export it out as an ACO or an ASE file, which is an Adobe swatch, or ACO, which is Adobe Color, which can use kind of everywhere. Color kit. the hell is this website? Let's see. Oh no. Some color wheel for stuff. Essentially what I do is I take the image. It's funny, I wonder if this website went away. And then what I started doing is using Rebel as the middleman, importing a thing, saving the swatch, saving it, exporting it out as an ACO file. Let's see. Here is... this one. I'm gonna find this damn thing. Mine. See, and a lot of these will save as a PDF, but that's kind of worthless because then you have to color pick it anyway. Color palette, image, see export. I think this is it. Is this the one? Colors. That just sort of... These are not... I could have sworn there was one that, so, like, here's what you can do. I'm pretty sure. Let me... This website's called iColor Palette. Let me put it here. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome. Sorry, I'm... the iColorPalette.com. So that's the website. And then you can upload an image. And I want to say... So what it's showing me now... Let me show you kind of what I'm doing. So I imported my image here, and then it shows the 5 colors, and you can kind of add some more colors if you want to, but it randomly selected these. But it did a full, complete palette of 22 colors. It found 22, which is definitely doable. And then you can sort it by brightness, right? And it shows you the hex code, which you can also put in, which is nice. But really what this is, if you export this out as an ASE Adobe file, it comes in as colorpalette.ase. Now I think, let me come over here. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. We come over there. And let me get that file. Modes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this color palette ASE, and it should, if I just have this color set open and clip. Come on. There used to be a way to do it. Are you kidding? Because you can see I did some stuff for Final Fantasy 16 and like Metal Gear, Magic the Gathering, Stormy Sunsets. I've made all kinds of custom ones. I can't remember the exact method in clip. that's the thing. None of these programs talk to each other. Okay, so what I did is I took the ASE file, put it into Photoshop, opened it in Photoshop, saved it out as a .aco, which is an Adobe color file. And I think Adobe color files you can drag and drop onto a color set in Clip Studio. It's a big ass headache. But there are ways to do it. You just need to find the way that works best for you. And like if I just do this color set, yeah, because I don't even see an import color set button anymore. So there's add color set, and then there's like you can search on the asset store, and here's my downloaded materials and created materials, but that's from the store. There used to be an import button, like an actually just import file. But I think that was like Clip Studio version 1. Color profile, no. Filter window, color mixing, approximate color, color wheel. Let's see, there's color wheel. Squares it up. Actions. There's a way to do it, because I've done it before. Done it many times. It's been 4 years since I did it, but I know for a fact I did it. But yeah, I think... Oh, here we go. Edit color sets. Okay. So in the little hamburger menu here, import color set. And it is not a okay. I see. So it is not a supported... All supported formats, .cls and .aco. So I knew it could do .aco files. Is there a converter for an ASE to ACO converter? Should be, because they're kind of the same exact file. Just name something different. But you can't change the .ace. You can't like go file change to ACO. It doesn't work that way. For whatever reason. ASE to ACO converter. Yay! Hooray for GitHub! There is a GitHub. Here we go. This Python script converts Adobe Swatch Exchange files into Adobe Color files for import into art programs. Palettes included, so cool. Put all palettes to convert into a palettes directory and run the script via Python. In the parent directory, it will convert all of the ASE files. So then you can convert the file and then drag it over. Let me do this just by download that zip. Okay. Let me do some back end here just to prove that this works, because this would actually be a very helpful thing. Show off. So bring that in. Okay. Apparently, let's try this. Let me come back over here. We have a palettes file. So all of this stuff is here, right? There's the ASE to ACO, and there's the README. This Python script converts. Okay. Okay, cool. So that's cool right there. So I think we should just be able to take this color palette right there. Let's name this Reg Colors 1.ASE. Okay. Take that over to this. Put it over to that, and that's the ASE file. We're gonna run this. Now we have Greg Colors 1 as an ACO file. Now let's come back over here. We have, yeah, our example, which is empty. We also had the orc portrait, which is also empty. But now, if I just grab the ACO file, look at that. There it is. And it renamed it Greg Colors 1. So it knew what to do. With that ACO file, it knew what to do. There it is. And then it gave us the 22 in order, by the way. We sorted it in order. In order of value or brightness. There they are. Okay, so that's the 18-step way that you can also do what Rebel can do in one click. That's what I mean. Different art programs are just stronger at different things. It is what it is. This. Let's add in. Come back. We're just gonna add in some of this. These will be the lighter sort of deals, right? We got that. Got this gray. Nice blendies. Just putting those in. Another one here. And we can also kind of muddy this up a little more to match the values. There we go. Now if we come in here, oh, nice green. Yeah, sure, we'll add some green, why not? So we have all these random little bits of color in here, right? What we're gonna do, we're gonna color pick color we already had. We're just gonna start blending. This would be me just taking a dirty brush, oil paint on it. We're just making the shapes here. Billow out some smoke here. Oh yeah, let me get that converter script. It was on GitHub. Bam. There is the converter script for you. Because a lot of websites should export in .ase. iColor Palette is one that just allows you to like choose how you want to sort the file, which is actually pretty good. Because not all of them let you sort it by lightness and hue and all that stuff. So really, however it makes the most sense for you to compartmentalize that type of stuff and sort it, you can do that. I'm gonna come here. Smoke out a little more. some of that in. Looks weird, but it's fine. We will use that weirdness to our advantage. So, trying to think what we can do. I'll pick that. I'm going to introduce a little bit of red. Here, saturation a little bit while keeping the same value. Really, this is just more about blocking some colors in. We'll go back and kind of re-render some of the stuff here after a bit. So, we can do the very Greg Manchester thing. Do the swoop and brush stroke to make those the texture of these leather pants. That. Here. This there it is. That's better. Remember, we're just working kind of live without a net, so no real references, nothing like that. We're just gonna make stuff till it looks cool. these are, let's keep these very basic shapes for the hand and all of this. We can also add this into wardrobe. Here we go. Make this axe look a little cooler by getting rid of the dark lines. And we can really kind of play with brushstroke nature of it. Remember, this whole process right here, I'm still considering the underpainting. This isn't really the main rendering painting side of it yet. We're just kind of putting stuff in place and seeing what looks good and going to Four. We'll come back in a little bit and kind of refine the hands, but the hands are going to be the things that actually need a little bit of genuine rendering. We can block out that fist. Bit of dirty paint to this leather. And almost like a red wash that we're putting on. Still want it to kind of mix in with what you already have there, so and I could introduce a little. You might have to design something to have that make sense, but that's fine. We'll do that. Just and some of the dark right there. All right, 120. So we got about 25 minutes left. This one. For this stream for today. And then remember, tomorrow is Friday Fun Day. We are going to be playing some fighting games. We'll be playing a little bit of Street Fighter 6, a little bit of Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. Trying to get better. Gonna level up a little bit on the old fighting game acumen. And then next week, we're actually going to be streaming early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Because my family has their fall break from jobs and school and all that type of stuff on Thursday and Friday. So we will essentially just push everything back or forward, I guess, like earlier in the week. So like Wednesday will be like a fun gaming Wednesday type thing. That's funny. Yesterday we mentioned NC Wyeth in chat, and it made me remember a little bit about NC Wyeth, and there's actually a piece. Look it up a little bit. Here it is. That is just super, super awesome. And it's kind of a masterclass in showing direction. Set up, okay. So there's the Greg Manchester stuff. Let me, it's over. Boom. Look at how great that yellow looks. I'm not even a big yellow fan, but that is awesome. And I wonder if, you know, Wyeth has very good shape language, like maybe some of the best to ever do it. And a simplifying, but like, that's such a simplification. Like, oh, instead of a sunrise, we're just going to do a yellow, pure yellow, one hue, you know, full chroma, like full send. Great. Here's another super awesome colorful piece, but you can see, one, he's not afraid of color at all, but because the shapes are so strong, you can kind of just play. And I think, you know, I'm hoping to try to channel some of that here. We're going to keep it muddy. We're going to keep it kind of subdued colors. But maybe instead of going for the very kind of obvious evil sort of thing, what if there was these weird colors in this painting? Like, it almost doesn't make sense, but also, when is the last time you've seen an orc painting with this type of thing? You know? I think that might be more important. Make something that not a lot of people would think about seeing, you know? Let's bring that in. So yeah, just adding a little bit of that fur around here is going to just repeat the design element. So because we see the fur over here, and then we see fur over here, or what we could like infer. Nice pun. But you're basically just like signaling that this is also fur, and that shape language makes sense. And then the same thing for like the kind of edges here, kind of simplify this sort of gauntlet look. It's just a way to shorthand what we have there. I think with this down here, we can use this lighter brown. We can even bring that up a little bit. Maybe we add another one of those over here. And maybe this one actually kicks out a little bit. These are facing up, so they will definitely be getting some light. Little bit. Introduce a little bit of light here. That way we can sort of smear it out momentarily. Only thing you want to be careful for with that, I want to kind of knock that back. You don't want to change the value structure. We talked about that a lot yesterday. As we kind of lock in the values, we're going to kind of keep them there. You know what? Let's get rid of these, because I don't think they're doing much for us right now. This gives us a little bit of wiggle room. Maybe do something else here. That. Emphasize that a little bit more. That way we can put some sort of logo or something here. Get rid of that. This just buys us a lot of real estate. We can play with something. We want to do that a little bit later. Early next week we can figure out that design. And we can also bring in of this belt. Work well. It's fine. Bring the eye up a little bit. This can actually be a little more shadowy, right? So this just simplifies it down pretty good. And this will give us a decent place that we can start from next week. And we can do all the the dramatic type of rendering and big light hits and all that stuff once we finalize what all of these designs are going to be. Yeah. Save. Fill. That one. All right. So I think that's where we're gonna call it for today. Yeah, about 2.5 hours. Not bad. But yeah, see, we gave ourselves a whole lot of fun texture and weird, mishmashy brushwork that we can then bring in to something like clip and refine. We can also, if we wanted to, we could push saturation up a little bit. We could really hit it with a vibrance pass. We could even come in after the fact, after we kind of upped saturation on some of these colors, and then do another gradient map, and then gradient map some of that stuff out. So it just depends. I think I do have an idea of how I want to do the lighting, and it's a really nice special effect, and I can teach that to you guys next week. But it's essentially, you take an airbrush, and then you get the color of the background light source. Airbrush, put it on hard light or on color dodge, and then just blast a blast highlight to make it look like this. If this is maybe the sun, it will look like the sun is going over and blooming out. And that way, it's way more dramatic. And I think it might look cool mixing the painterly style stuff with the kind of digital special effect. I think that might be something interesting to look at. But yeah, I'm happy with. I mean, the clouds don't look like clouds yet, but they kind of don't need to. Or the smoke, you know, but it kind of doesn't need to. Really, what I think is going to make that work way better is if we come in and refine the mountains a little more. We actually make these look like mountains. We maybe look at some other oil paintings. We look at how some other artists maybe tackle that, and then hit these mountain ranges right here. This one in the distance, this one in that midground, and these are kind of in the foreground. Actually, this rock right here, I like the look of that, so we may not even touch this one. But these ones back here, we could define them more as a, you know, as a mountain pass. As like he is the orc in charge of being security guard for this part of the pass, you know. I think that could work well. But yeah, that is it. Hopefully you guys found some useful info. Sorry it took me a little bit to find that color swatch thing. But hey, that's a nice, you know, I put the GitHub link on there. So if you're watching any replays, whether it's on YouTube or here on Twitch, yeah, you'll be able to have that as well. That converter is very, very nice. You just throw that .ase Adobe swatch file into that folder that says palette. You run the Python script, and then it converts it back to an Adobe Color, which you can then drag and drop into Clip Studio. I think Krita can use ACO files as well. ACO is the more universal file that a lot of paint programs use. So it's cool that somebody made a converter and it works great, super free, which is the best part, I guess. But that's it. That is it for me for the art stuff for this week. Tomorrow we will be playing some ranked fighting games, getting our butt whooped online. But that's part of it. We got to train. We're going to be in our first tournament ever in March. So we got to start training now to make sure that we are ready for the big stage at Texas Showdown come late March of 2026. That's it for me. You guys have been fantastic. Appreciate all the support. Appreciate all of the love and all the chatting. Everyone just hanging out, having a good time. Hope you had a good time. And we're definitely going to have a good time tomorrow when you see your boy get whooped. But until then, go out there, make cool art, and we'll talk to you soon.